The Romans, the Egyptians, and the Greeks built massive empires in the names of their gods. Millions of people lived, fought, and died for them. Yet today, those same supreme deities sit quietly inside glass cases. This map highlights an incredible geographic anomaly. Almost 80% of the global population follows a faith born from just two strips of land, the Middle East and the Indian subcontinent. Thousands of diverse religions born across Europe, Africa, and the Americas eventually faded, which brings up a strange question. Did the people in these two localized regions stumble upon a universal spiritual truth? Or did intense environmental pressures force them to invent a brand new type of religious technology just to keep themselves alive? To understand why we believe, we have to look at how our brains process fear. When humans feel helpless or trapped in chaos, our neural survival algorithm kicks in. We automatically start connecting dots that aren't there, inventing patterns and assigning agency to random events to regain a sense of control. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, this exact psychological quirk birthed animism. Early hunter-gatherers assigned spirits to the wind, the rain, and to death itself. It gave the random, terrifying brutality of nature a narrative. For a long time, this system worked perfectly. As long as humans lived in small, roaming tribes, these localized spirits provided enough shared meaning to keep the group cohesive and safe. Then, the environment turned against us. The Ice Age ended, the climate stabilized, and the massive animals we hunted for high-calorie meals went extinct. Continuous migration became biologically impractical. Humanity was backed into an evolutionary corner. We had to stop wandering and settle down. And the only places on Earth with enough naturally occurring wild wheat and barley to actually support this transition were the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East and the river valleys of India. Agriculture solved the calorie problem, but it immediately created a massive math problem. Tribes of 50 people suddenly exploded into dense, permanent proto-cities of up to 8,000 residents. This diagram illustrates Dunbar's number. The human neocortex is hardwired to maintain trusting social relationships with about 150 people. Scale that network to 8,000, and the software breaks. 98% of your neighbors are absolute strangers. The tribal moral code, reliant on knowing everyone, completely dissolves. We built a physical society exponentially larger than our biological hardware could process. Without a shared framework to regulate behavior among strangers, theft and betrayal became inevitable. For the first time in history, humans could store surplus food for months at a time. That meant wealth inequalities skyrocketed. Hoarding and violent crime became the natural, rational outputs of this new agricultural system. We can see the physical toll of this friction in the archaeological record. In early supersettlements like Çatalhöyük in modern-day Turkey, roughly a quarter of excavated human skulls featured deep, intentional weapon fractures. Neighbors were turning on neighbors. Without a way to manufacture trust among thousands of strangers, early civilization was tearing itself apart under the pressure of its own scale. To stop the bloodshed, humanity had to invent a social technology, the institution, an abstract, agreed-upon system designed specifically to coordinate strangers. Humanity's first major institution took the form of a massive, centralized temple complex, conceptualized before planned cities even existed. Digging and carving 20-ton stone pillars required thousands of people working together in harmony over months. These ritual centers quickly evolved into administrative machines. As people gathered, the temple became the first central bank and the first dispute resolution court. It leveraged the shared fear of a higher power to enforce contracts and maintain order between people who otherwise had no reason to trust each other. Look at this early cuneiform tablet. This is a highly structured accounting spreadsheet. The grid lines and symbols track daily allocations of beer and barley for temple workers. Writing was invented for bookkeeping. Organized religion was the essential software update our brains needed. Once a divine, untouchable authority was keeping the ledger, 8,000 strangers could finally share a city without killing each other. Both the Middle East and the Indian subcontinent used this religious technology to survive the agricultural bottleneck, but they took completely divergent theological and architectural paths to get there. The Middle East pursued rigid centralization. To manage the chaos of growing populations, their theology simplified down to one absolute God, one ultimate truth, and a divine king who dispensed centralized justice. You can see this hierarchy clearly in artifacts like the Code of Hammurabi, where the human ruler receives his authority directly from a towering seated sun god. The Indus Valley, however, chose decentralization. They built cities vastly larger than those in Mesopotamia, maintaining immense order without central kings or massive ruling palaces. Instead of shrinking their pantheon, they multiplied it into infinite manifestations of a single underlying universe, embedding trust into localized, distributed daily rituals. The Greek and Roman gods gathered dust in museum exhibits today because their social coordination algorithms couldn't scale to the realities of expanding empires. The religions that command the globe today survived the brutal gauntlet of human history because, at the exact moment our biology reached its limit, they provided the administrative blueprints capable of saving us from ourselves.